The K-Files is brought to you by John Barnes Electric, your full-service electrical company, serving Rocky Mount and surrounding areas. Locally owned, locally recommended, available 24/7. Call today for a free estimate, 442-7002, 442-7002.
And good morning. Thank you for tuning in. With me this morning, I've got Nash County Commissioner Freddie Howell. Good morning, Freddie.
Good morning, sir.
And Mayor Owen Strickland from Bailey. How are you doing, Mayor?
I'm good. How are you?
Congratulations on being elected chairman of the Nash County GOP.
Yeah, that was an interesting night. We had a good night. Someone very close to me, literally, was the one that nominated me, and I really appreciate that. I can't remember who did the second, but it was very nice, and I appreciate the confidence people have, and I appreciate the opportunity to move the Republican Party forward.
Yeah.
Large turnout.
Yeah, probably one of the biggest.
Since I've been going, it is the largest turnout I've seen.
Yeah.
It's the way to grow the party.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And Mayor Sandy Robertson hosted us here in Rocky Mount. Huge turnout.
Yeah.
Again, probably one of the biggest turnouts I've seen. But again, congratulations on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. The elected officials, I was messing with Commissioner Howell, and I told him, I said, you'll be getting a letter from the chairman of the Nash County Party here shortly. I started that process yesterday just to let the elected officials know that there is a new party chairman, and how to get in touch with me, and what the goal is for me as the chairman. Basically giving them the support that they really need during these times of election season. Because we've got a little bit of time, but we don't have. It's not an inordinate amount of time.
But campaigning, as far as I'm concerned, never stop. It should never stop. Maybe the intensity of it, but we should always be trying to advocate, recruit, and promote conservative Republican candidates.
Yeah, I believe that too.
It should be nonstop.
Yes, and that's kind of where we're going to be, and that's kind of where I'd like to see it, and that's and I think we've got a pretty good consensus of that's the way we need to, the direction we need to move in.
Yeah. So what's going on in Bailey? Y'all got a big weekend planned.
We do. Starting sometime Friday afternoon, I can't remember exactly when. We're going to shut one of the blocks down, and we'll be starting a little bit of a band.
Yeah, it says here.
I spoke with the mayor of Middlesex, Lou Harvey Lewis, and he and his wife actually traveled to see that band, and he says, I'll be there. So that's going to be fun for everyone. And then we're all day Saturday, we'll be there. They're going to set up really early Saturday morning, and I intend to be there to help out as much as I can in between running from tent to tent.
You're a busy man.
We're going to have a big Republican tent with any candidate that wants to be there. I recommend you be there, because Bailey tends to give, Bailey's not is a kind of a odd duck in a little ways. Most folks in Bailey are unaffiliated by, how their registration is, but they tend to vote
Very
more
red.
moderate and more conservative. So there's a lot of love that comes to conservative candidates from Bailey. So
That sounds like my family. I mean, my family was
Yeah.
diehard Democrats, but they voted Republican.
Yep.
You
and
know?
that's kind of what we're gearing toward, and that's why we're gonna have a big tent. We want this to be everybody included.
That's right.
Regardless of what you're.
Well, let's see what it says here. It says the North Carolina Sweet Potato Festival 2025. Folks, if you've never been, you need to go to Bailey Friday night, Saturday. Friday night, May 16th, it starts at 6 to 10. Food trucks, music by I-42 Band. And I think they're kind of like a beach music
They do
kind
it.
of
They do it all.
do it
They
all.
do all of it.
I hear they put on a show.
Yeah, well, I don't think Mayor Lewis would be traveling to see anybody unless they were halfway decent. So
Yeah.
I feel fairly positive that you're going to that's going to be an entertaining time.
So bring your lawn chairs, come out, and y'all shut Main Street down Friday night too?
We're going to shut Main Street down. We're going to shut the block between Jackson Street and Benson Street, just one block right there in front of the police department. We'll close that Friday, and that'll stay closed, and then we'll close the rest of Main Street from there to Nash Street back, the street that the post office is on, and we'll close that for Saturday, and so we'll have 2 blocks closed for Saturday.
And Saturday it starts off at 9 a.m. to 10. You're going to have a classic car and truck show. 98.5, the Big Dog's going to be there, 10:30 to 1. They're going to have all kinds
Chicken wing
of
cook-off,
chicken wing
ladies and
cook-off,
gentlemen.
kids activities, lots of things for the kids to do, craft and local vendors. Is H.S. Howell Farms
We
going?
will. We'll be there both days. We'll have the ice cream truck there both days.
Okay.
And all our the vendor sections are full. The chicken wing cook-off teams are full. I don't think they did that last year, but they have certainly worked their rear ends off.
They're going to have some Vietnam vets.
That's going to be the beer garden. sort of.
Okay, in the beer garden. Lots of music. Tony Jones Band, Ashton Leyland and The Verdict, DJ Justin Rouse. He keeps the party going from 6 to 7. A lot of stuff. A lot of stuff.
Love Tribe is, from what I understand, from what the little blurb that I read on them, they're very similar. They do everything. They're R&B all the way to current hits in some ways, radio hits, things like that. So,
Well, I wish I could be there. There's one
Well, you always
weekend
have something
of
going.
the year
Yeah.
that I try to go to the beach, and that's for the Beach Music Festival
Mm-hmm.
in Atlantic Beach, and it always hits out that this is the same weekend.
well, if we moved ours, then Nashville would have to move to Blooming Festival, and it becomes a cascading kind of thing. We'll all be.
Well, I'm not that important, so we'll just leave it like it is.
Everybody will be huddled around. We'll end up moving the Pumpkin Festival to a different year or something. I mean, if we start moving these festivals, we may never find a good date for it.
Well, what else is going on in Bailey? Anything political?
Well, we've got budget season. Commissioner Howell knows all about budget season.
Oh, yeah.
Stay tuned. Budget's going to be interesting in Bailey. Everybody, inflation has created a shortfall for most municipalities, and we were fully planning to move the police department to 24-hour day, 7-day-a-week coverage. We're going to have to dial that back. We're going to leave it the way it is, about 16 hours a day. 7 days a week. So hopefully, we can still work on that toward next year. Other than that, water and sewer is still moving forward. The last thing I heard was early summer, late summer, or midsummer. So hopefully it won't push to midsummer, late summer. We're still waiting on some permitting from DEQ, Division of Environmental Quality.
And the Sheriff Stone and his department, they kind of help you with
Sheriff Stone essentially gave us 3 officers for Saturday. It was Friday and Saturday. I received that action plan earlier this week, and our Chief Gilo, Adam Gilo, he also works with the Sheriff's Office full-time, and now he's with us part-time. And he has coordinated all of that, and quite frankly, we appreciate that from Sheriff Stone. He's a good friend of the town of Bailey and a good friend to me, and I appreciate him very much.
I don't know how he does what he does with what he's got. Between running to courts, running to jail 24/7, calls for service, serving papers, his hands are full. I don't know how he gets it done.
Well, that's a good manager for you.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, he's the sheriff, but he also manages an organization, and management's what it's all about.
Yeah.
If you have limited or somewhat limited staffing, you can manage a lot of things. Don't get me wrong, everyone wants and needs more of everything, but quite frankly, that's how you do more with less.
Look at 2 weeks ago, you had, like in one period of time, I believe y'all were in a meeting. You had like several things unfold across the county at the exact same time. You had a murder or an attempted murder suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had another a child abduction in Red Oak. You had a deputy that was involved in a serious crash. Then you had someone on a vehicle stop, run off into the woods and commit suicide. I mean, several high-profile things, and there was an issue with coverage, right? Didn't other agencies have to kind of chip?
Some others chipped in and helped out.
Yeah.
And like I said, the thing is on that is you can't predict these calls. You don't know when they're going to occur, so you can't staff and plan for those
Yeah.
situations. So you have to be staffed
That's
all
right.
the time.
Yeah.
So, and just from the sheriff's office, I just got a report from him this week, and his calls for service in Nash County are up 24% over last year. And calls for investigation are up 27%, 9% increase on serving civil papers, and inmates being booked into jail are up 12%. And the one that kind of alarms me the most, and it's something we got to look at as a nation, definitely as a state, and also locally, but mental transports are up 25%. And those individuals in that mental transport, those mental patients, we need to look at providing better and different services for those individuals, because that is an area that's increasing, and they're kind of caught in the gap.
And a lot of people watching, they may not even understand, or they may not even know that when a mental patient is transferred in North Carolina, a rescue squad doesn't move them. A deputy is pulled off the road, he is sent, and when I worked there, we usually sent two.
Yeah.
So that's two people that's off the road. We go to the hospital, we put this person in secured custody for their protection and ours. Mm-hmm. You put them in a patrol car, and this is the crazy part. You might take them across the parking lot to Nash Edgecombe Mental Health. You might take them to Cherry, or you might take them to Asheville.
Or Butner.
It depends on where they found a bed
It's available.
for that patient. And you stop and think, if you're a Nash County deputy and they dispatch you to Nash and your partner, and they send this mental patient to Asheville, that's two deputies off the road all day long.
10 hours at minimum.
Yep. It's not, we did a little bit of that when I was with probation.
And by law, it has to be a law enforcement officer that transports these people for security measures.
Right.
So the sheriff's got his hands full.
It does.
So where do things stand on? I understand there's been some budget talks, some proposals, some cuts.
We're in the middle right now of doing that. We actually met last night with the school board and the community college. Had a great meeting, some good information. Maybe we'll get a chance to share it a little bit later. But in regards to the sheriff's office, I know he had requested additional 7 officers to be added on. And I think the latest thing, they would cut back to 2. And I really hope we'll reconsider that, and my fellow commissioners will look at that and basically decide to fund those positions because of these increases here. And the thing to keep in mind with law enforcement is just like our emergency services. They operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So one person working an 8 or 10 hour shift doesn't cover it. So there's 4 shifts with the sheriff's office, there's 4 shifts with our EMS department. So when you have to fill a position or create a new position or coverage, it's not just one person to do that. It takes a minimum of 2 or to 4.
Right.
So because there's 4 shifts. So it does require more. But again, it's one of those types of services that's part of our infrastructure. It's what our citizens in Nash County pay for. And when they dial 911 and pick up the phone, they expect a response, and a timely response. And that's our job to be able to provide that to those individuals. So I think that's something we definitely need to look at, because we are a growing county. Our permits this year are up 35% over last year. And again, Bailey's still on the moratorium, and we still have restrictions with infrastructure and other parts of the southern end of the county within our towns. So when this comes off, it's only going to grow more. So I think it's important that we keep our infrastructure in place and keep growing that to support the growth that's coming.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm all about small government. I'm all about low taxes. But like in the sheriff's case, I mean, look at those stats. You just, 20%, 24%, 27%.
Yeah, 24, 27,
okay.
25.
When you see increases like that, if you can justify an expenditure to me, if you can demonstrate to me a need other than, hey, we just want to add people, that's a need.
Well, and I may look at it different. I've been told I think different than some of the others.
That can be good.
But that's a compliment in my book. But, you got to classify things when you look at a budget as these are needs and then these are wants.
Right.
And you may want to do this, but if you've got needs here, you got to take care of those first before you get to the wants. It's much like a lot of the infrastructure in place. We're all about economic development, but if you're going to develop a piece of property, you need to have the infrastructure there. You got to have the number one, the EMS service and the law, and then you got to have the power, the natural gas. So those things all have to be in place to make that stuff successful.
Well, let's take a quick break. Let's pay some bills. Stay tuned. We'll be right back right after these messages.
The K-Files is brought to you by John Barnes Electric, your full-service electrical company, serving Rocky Mount and surrounding areas. Locally owned, locally recommended, available 24/7. Call today for a free estimate, 442-7002, 442-7002.
Welcome back to the K-Files. The K-Files is a law enforcement public safety program. And law enforcement officers in public safety get their funding from mayors,
From the
your town
municipalities.
right. They get their funding from the sheriff, from the county commissioners, things like that. So it's very important that we keep an open relationship and a good relationship, because law enforcement officers get their funding from sources like you.
Right.
And part of the reason,
as a mayor, I am very pro law enforcement. It doesn't hurt that I was a probation officer for 12 years. But the bottom line is that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
I'm trying to push our law enforcement forward.
so people need to understand that, like it or not, there is a political link to public safety and a philosophy and funding as it pertains to, public safety, as it pertains to law enforcement. And it is, just like the sheriff says, it's about a relationship. Just like the sheriff came to you or to the board and says, look, I need this. It's important to the public safety of Nash County that I get these tools that I need. And just like your chief comes to you and says, Mayor, I need this. So that's how it ties to law enforcement. That's how it ties to public safety. And that's how it ties to the K-Files. There is a link there, and that's why it's important.
A while ago, we just mentioned investigations in Nash County are up for the sheriff's department by 27%. That's almost, if you round up, that's a 30% increase. So in order for them to be able to solve these cases, they've got to have additional officers and detectives to be able to investigate these crimes, to be able to bring them to closure. So that's why I'm asking you, reach out to your local commissioner and express your concern. Do you feel that this is important that we provide those services to our citizens in Nash County? And as the county grows, and as the service level increases, we've got to grow our staffing to support that, or either we're going to have more files or more cases that go unresolved. So definitely need to be able to support this team to be able to take care of us in our time of need.
Yeah.
Our police officers, believe it or not, they go into our elementary school in Bailey. Are they SROs? No, but they are there. They do show their face. They do, help the SRO that is there from time to time. They help the school from time to time. We have to outfit our police department to respond to emergencies at the elementary school in town. So it all connects. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on what side of the coin you are on, politics does run into nearly every part of life. I wish sometimes it wasn't that way, but to get things moving, that's what you have to do. You have to be involved in political aspirations.
Well, look at the national stage. Politics. You have one political party that's advocating that illegal immigrants that are violent, that are tied to gangs, they want them out. Mm-hmm. And you've got another political party that wants these people that are here illegally, that are tied and associated with gang violence and, hurting families and molesting children, to stay. So unfortunately, it's political.
Yeah. And to that point, Monday night, the mayor always has a section at the end of our agenda, and I'll be addressing that particular item in that section of our agenda. And quite frankly, I fully intend to recommend to our board participation in the 287G program, because have we had the federal government come to Bailey and say, hey, we need to operate within your jurisdiction? No. Not that I know of. I think the chief would have told me that. I feel fairly positive the chief would have told me that. But if they do, they need some, our police officers need some direction from the board to operate in that way.
And again, it's political.
It's very much political. We've got members of the board that may not be 100% for that. However, in all honesty, we have to protect our citizens, and these illegal immigrants have gang ties to some degree, and they do operate nationwide.
And it's not like a Nash County deputy is going to initiate a vehicle stop, and because this person came into the country illegally, take them into custody and turn them over to ICE. It doesn't work like that, okay? It's not like the liberal news media wants you to understand. Now, if this person has a detainer issued against them because of other criminal activity, and that deputy stops them or has interaction with them, and there is a detainer issued on that person's coming into custody, because of another criminal act, because of violence, because of gang activity, because of other things. And again, politically, what's sad is there are sheriffs in North Carolina that refuse to participate in that program, and it's political.
Very much so. And in some cases, they have had guidance from their elected officials.
Yeah.
To operate in this way or that way, whatever way you want to
Well, delving back into other things that are public safety related, I saw where Nash General had a groundbreaking yesterday.
We did. So another infrastructure, vital infrastructure to Nash County, and the hospital, Nash UNC, is going to build a patient tower over there. And we had the groundbreaking ceremony yesterday, which is going to be able to expand the capacities of the UNC Nash Hospital and provide a regional hospital facility for not just the citizens in Nash County, but the surrounding counties as well. And as we do grow, the population is increasing. If you head west now on 64, everybody knows there's like a bottleneck there around Zebulon and you can't get through. So it's the same thing for emergency vehicles trying to do transportation. So the better equipped we are here locally to provide medical services in a time of need, the better our citizens are. So very excited that that's coming, looking forward to the opportunities and the increase in health care that we can provide to citizens in Nash County and the surrounding area. So,
And so many of these cases in the Team Cold Case book, they end up a lot of times in the ER. Even you look at how many shootings that we have take place, a secondary shooting or secondary violence take place at the hospital. I think the hospital has its own police department. So that function, life-saving function of people who have been injured or hurt in a case, that life-saving function is important to the K-Files. It's important to Team Cold Case. To have, again, it's a relationship that could come back and save someone's life. So it's all tied together. It is all tied together. Man, you've had a busy week. I heard you on the radio this morning. You've got all kinds of things going on. What happened with the Nash School Board and Nash County, Nash?
So as you were talking a while ago, and the mayor was talking as well, we're in the midst of budget for Nash County.
Community college.
The county provides funding to the community college and also to the Nash County school system. Even though it's state funded, is supplemented by the county as well. So just a few, I guess, facts I'd like to share, because some of it was new to me. Some of it I knew, but some of it was new, and just want to make sure that the citizens here realize how important these institutions are to Nash County and beyond. Just from the community college standpoint, Nash County Community College annually serves over 68,000 students.
I had no idea.
So that's huge.
It is.
And
That's every year.
I came from a big box store, worked there for 25 years and retired, and I can't tell you the countless number of employees that we hired in that had went to a public institution and had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars for these degrees, but then those degrees weren't in a field of service that they could use, that ended up coming and working with us. And there's nothing wrong with that, but if you want to further your career, you want to invest your funding in the career path that you're going to take. So what I also found out is you can get a 2-year degree at Nash Community College for under $6,000. So that's a minimum investment to be able to move your career along. And what's interesting is in Nash Community College, 76% of what they do with their skills over there are related to fill local and regional workforce needs. So the majority of what they do is putting you in a position to better your employment so you can have a financial funding for your family and your life and your future. So just some good stuff over there on that. And one thing on the school system, which actually a couple of things on the school system I was proud about, is the Discovery Educational Awards of the districts of the year. So there was 3 school districts in the United States that received the award. One of them was Baldwin, Alabama, Los Angeles, California, and Nash County, North Carolina was the 3rd one.
Wow.
So, the school system's moving along. And in fact, I've touched on this before, but it's such an important factor to show how hard our teachers and staff and support staff is doing in Nash County. And a lot of times it goes unrecognized, but there's 115 school districts in North Carolina. There's only 6 school districts that have repeatedly, since 2018-19 year, moved their position up on low-performing districts every year. And Nash County is one of those. As a matter of fact, they started off in 2018-19 year, they were ranked 108th out of 115 school districts. And as of last year, they moved up to 33. So that's a 75 spot increase.
Yeah.
So it's not a 1 year, but that's several years of improvement. So Nash County is doing something right for our children, and we need to make sure that we thank those individuals that work for the school system and the hard work that they do, because they are making a difference. You know, you can't move scoring that high repeatedly without doing the right thing.
Right.
So outstanding job there on that, just going along. And I really, you know, I've always said getting involved local is where you can have the most impact. And I also asked that you reach out to your commissioners and let them know that you would support. And I'm not sure everybody knows, but in Nash County, we don't have SRO, which is the Sheriff's Department, in all of our schools. We need to have that. We need a SRO officer in every single school in Nash County. So the school board has put before a proposal to include a SRO in every school, and I wholeheartedly support that, and I hope my colleagues will as well. And I encourage you, if you see them out and about or talk to them, to please share your thoughts on that matter as well. You know, seconds count in those situations, and we definitely need an officer that's trained in this and has the skill set to be able to provide that service right then and there, not a few minutes down the road.
I've advocated for years to have law enforcement in every single school in Nash County, because, like it or not, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when, God forbid, we're going to have a shooting incident. We're going to have a violent incident in Nash County. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. It's going to happen. And it's better to mitigate that, have law enforcement in place to minimize it, to almost stop it.
Neutralize it.
That's exactly right. But to think it cannot come to rural Nash County, you're mistaken. You're naive to think it can't happen here, because it can.
That's what all the ones that's happened.
That's right. That's right. Well, look, we're going to stop, take a break. We're going to pay some bills. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The K-Files is brought to you by John Barnes Electric, your full-service electrical company, serving Rocky Mount and surrounding areas. Locally owned, locally recommended, available 24/7. Call today for a free estimate, 442-7002, 442-7002.
And welcome back to the K-Files. Again, I'm here this morning with Nash County Commissioner Freddie Howell and Bailey Mayor Owen Strickland. You know, the K-Files, we work with Team Cold Case, and we pay up to $15,000 cash for tips that lead to an arrest or solving a crime or solving a case. These books here are full of cases from Nash, Edgecombe, Wilson, Halifax, Northampton, Franklin County, and it's kind of, you know, it's kind of sad to see so many lives affected from, you know, just senseless violence. There's people missing, kids that have been murdered, and you know, the intent of this show is to bring closure, to bring justice to these victims and their families. But again, we pay up to $15,000 in cash in the hopes that somebody will come forward with something that they know. You can remain anonymous. We'll bring you cash. We'll put you in touch with law enforcement. Your name, your identity, everything is confidential. And that's the intent, and that's the purpose behind this show. And it's also to demonstrate why it's so important to have a good working relationship with law enforcement, and it's so important that law enforcement have the tools that they have, and that they have a good working relationship with their elected officials, so that they can solve these crimes, so that they can prevent crimes from happening to begin with. It's all tied in together. But talking about cold cases, we were talking off camera. Do you remember, man, it was late 70s, early 80s, Brock Circle in Bailey, as a child, I remember there being a murder there. And I inquired years later to the then chief, and he was unaware of it. I mean, and you know, law enforcement officers come and go, you know, especially like in small towns.
And chiefs come and go.
Yeah. Do you remember anything about that case?
I don't remember that one in particular. I was probably out racing, dirt track racing with my friends at that point. But we have had, I know of 2 murders since I was born, you know, in Bailey. You know, God forbid that happens again.
Yeah.
But I could certainly, you know, I would imagine we've got a full-time police officer that works during the day most of the time. He works all the time, basically. He volunteers a lot of time. And I'm going to mention it to him when I get back to town, because I'm sure there's a file somewhere if it wasn't solved, you know, that was.
I'd love to know.
I would too, and especially considering I can't remember it, that doesn't mean anything. I mean, I'm old, so you know, you get shortened of memory sometimes. But
the last thing I want to close with is I heard you on the radio talking about the farm, and y'all had a lot of new products. I understand that y'all recently acquired like a pimento cheese type deal.
We did.
Because you already know I love pimento cheese.
Donna and James were the owners of O.M. Goodness Pimento Cheese, fine family in the fine family business, and she's had some health conditions with her eyes and stuff, and it's hard for her to work with, and so, and they both have other career paths as well, but it's a great product, and it's been around for, I think, 9 or 10 years now, so, but we've been selling their product at the farmer's market, and of course at the house for many years, and great product for us. But so they approached us, and we just finalized everything and got everything switched over, and excited to be able to carry on that brand and that legacy. And we're not changing any of the ingredients on anything. The only thing we're going to change on it is the little indication of where the product's made at, because it was made in the Wilson and now it's being made in Nash County.
Well, good.
So we're going to carry that on, and it's a great product. It's a creamy pimento cheese, so it spreads very well for parties and crackers and sandwiches. It's a great snack, or in the afternoon, or either on a Sunday after church, to come back and slap a little butter in the pan and put some between 2 pieces of bread and throw it in there and brown it.
Doing all you
Quick
can do to bring additional jobs and commerce to
Absolutely.
Nash County.
and calories, commerce and calories, ladies and
Good.
gentlemen.
I'm glad to hear that. Anything anybody want to add before we close?
Just a brief thing for the commissioner. I appreciate your friendship to the town of Bailey and your support of the town of Bailey. We are working really hard for Bailey and for Middlesex and our area and countywide, really. I have a good relationship with all of our commissioners, and I really do appreciate everything that our Board of Commissioners does for us.
And I know you're elected by District 3, and I know it's District 3 people that put you in office, but thank you for what you do on behalf of the entire county.
We've got to grow a relationship between Rocky Mount, because Rocky Mount is a huge part of Nash County, and we have so much more in common as people than we have dislikes and disagreements. So the better we can work together and collaborate and unite, the further and faster we can move Nash County and Rocky Mount forward. So
Totally agree. Totally agree.
I want to be an advocate for that, to push that relationship tighter than it has been, because things are changing. We got to keep up with it, and we can only do it if we work together.
Yeah. Well, again, thank y'all for coming on. Thank you for being committed to public safety and for advancing law enforcement needs, being a friend to law enforcement. I greatly appreciate it. And thank you for tuning in to the K-Files. And we'll see you next week.
Have a great week.
The K-Files is brought to you by John Barnes Electric, your full-service electrical company, serving Rocky Mount and surrounding areas. Locally owned, locally recommended. Available 24/7. Call today for a free estimate. 442-7002. 442-7002.